Tonight's banquet is the 5th banquet in our induction series, but the 6th class. If you recall, the very first one was way back, and all the inductees were deceased, so there was no banquet at that point. But after tonight's induction, we will have 60 total inductees, 14 legends, 7 contributors, 7 teams, and 32 individuals. We are thrilled to death that you are here this evening. We're very pleased and honored that you are here. And I'm going to be introducing here in a little while some different people from the audience. So just hang on if you hear your name. That means you're supposed to stand up and be recognized. I would like to give special thanks to Athletic Director Tim McCray, Assistant Athletic Director Bob Barnkennel. You can hold your applause, please, until we get them. Assistant Athletic Director Bob Barnkennel, and the 2 committees responsible for our nominating and selecting of our committees. So Tim and Bob, if you 2 would stand. The committees have already stood, so thank you very much. I'd also like to thank all the donors who have financially stepped forward to reserve tables to honor our inductees. Included in that group is the Tornado Club, who has always been behind the scenes for whatever is needed, including manning the bar for this evening's event. The gentlemen who are manning the bar tonight, you can wave. Right. Gary Reese, right. Steve Burgess, right over here. Fran Brogan, Sean Chambers, and Colby Meyer. Yeah. Special recognition to Dan Worther of Dan Worther Carving, who has produced the Contributors Award. Worther Cutlery for the Legends and the Individual Awards, and Baker Floral for the table centerpieces. As always, I would like to personally acknowledge Danny Brubright, who is not here tonight, who continues to provide the committees and me with background information on each candidate nominated for induction. Without Denny doing his thorough, detailed background research, this night does not happen. And I am so appreciative of his help and his cooperation. Denny is a guy that loves to do research on Dover athletes. And he has assured me that he has the next 10 years of people who may be considered. He's got them written up and ready to roll. So his version of them. So we're in good shape. I also wanted to acknowledge Chad Simpson over here. I forgot him. Chad Simpson's Heating, Cooling, et cetera, are executive sponsors this evening as well. So thank you very much, Chad. I also want to call attention to previous induction classes whose names are found near the back of the program. Now, please hold all applause until this group I'm about to introduce has been recognized. With us this evening, we have the following past inductees. And again, please stand and remain standing, and we'll hold all applause until the end. Jen Schwartzwelder Jones, please stand. Mickey Mamarella. Adam Donahue, in the back. Candy Shrine, representing her mother. Colby Meyer, again. Doug Clark, Doug is over here. Frank Elwood. Jim Heller. And Kim France Thompson. Thank you. They have their moment in the sun, and we appreciate them to continue coming back. Next. As found in the program, I politely request that we silence our cell phones at this time so we do not disturb the dignity of the evening. So please crank those babies off there, if you would. As is also found in the program, all the centerpieces remain at the tables with the exception of the individual inductees' tables. This program is being recorded and should be available by tomorrow on the Dover High School website, and that site is in the box on the first page of your program, as I stated before. So it will be there. A final announcement. Nomination forms for the 2025 induction class may be found on the Dover High School website under athletics. Very easy to navigate. These nominations are to be submitted to the athletic department by February 1st of 2025 for next year's inductions. That is the cutoff for those deadline for getting your submissions in. Okay? All right. It's time to honor our class of 2024. Please understand one thing before I start introducing every individual. This is their night to shine. This is their moment. And we are very proud to acknowledge that. We have asked them to keep their speech between about 4 and 5 minutes. Okay? But if they happen to go over, okay, you may see me doing this. Slightly doing this as a gentle reminder because we want to keep the evening flowing, if at all possible. So, okay? So just keep it in mind. If they do go over, keep in mind it's their night to shine. Let's let them talk for a while. Okay? All right. The Dover High School Athletic Hall of Fame Lifetime Contributors category is reserved for those special individuals, foundations, and or corporations who have played an integral role via personal involvement, voluntary, or financial contributions. Anyone who has ever been around high school sports realizes that support from the community is vital to sustaining successful programs. This evening's recipient represents the behind-the-scenes contributions of one humble man who stepped to the plate and took his turn serving as the leader of the Tornado Club for 17 years, Mr. John Krantz. Self-described as a Tiger by birth, because of his being raised in Strasbourg, to a Tornado forever, John dedicated himself to our athletic program, working in conjunction with so many other Tornado Club volunteers. He led and cooperated with peers in numerous projects, including so much of what we see today at the stadium, such as the Musco Lighting Project, the state-of-the-art press box, and the automated scoreboard, to name just a few. It is so easy for us in the stands to take for granted what we have grown accustomed to, without the tireless efforts of the Tornado Club, who sponsored this induction banquet, by the way, and individuals like John Krantz, who do the dirty work, we would certainly not be as modernized as what we are. Doing all these improvements, however, requires money, thus leading to numerous fundraising efforts over the years, all spearheaded by guys like John and followed through by Tornado Club members. I indicated at the outset that he is a humble man, perhaps one of his most endearing qualities. So talking about himself in a moment is not a normal occurrence. But tonight, we are honored to welcome my friend, John Krantz, as only the 7th lifetime contributor into the Dover High School Athletic Hall of Fame. John Krantz.
No, I'll give you 5 minutes.
John, here's your word.
Oh,
Okay?
thanks a lot. Oh, wow, that is nice. So this quite isn't my thing. Well, it is my thing talking and selling. I love selling things. But to get that call in Greenville, South Carolina, we live about an hour south of Asheville, in Greenville now, so we were able to get up. I want to just say thanks to a lot of people. To me, this still isn't a John Krantz night. As I look in this room, I see Alan Ring. I don't know most of you people know, all these guys back there at the Tornado Club meeting, they were in this thing with me for 18 years. I left, they're still here. I can't believe, and that's what we have in Dover. I still see them same old people. But I would also like to say special thanks to my wife, Peg, for allowing me to be going that much. It did force her to become a Mother's Club member, which she became treasurer of. Most of you know we had some pretty major storm damage. I told my grandson Wade, if we don't get thawed out and we get some neighbors helped out, that I wouldn't be able to come. And that young man took 4 days of dragging brush for 8 hours a day for me, getting neighbors cut out. So I appreciate that. But I do want to thank, I know it's Mr. Simpson there, without the corporate sponsors and things like that, the club just cannot do stuff. But this was not a John Krantz Award to me, this is a Tornado Club Award because we had guys like Jim Gordon, Gordon Construction, he would come in, anytime we were doing a big project, hey John, we'll have some guys there, Matt Stevens, hey, I'll do the electric work, we'll get one with electrical trucks. You know, and he just goes on, Steve Burgess took over the programs for me, turned them into, most of you know, as a national award program, and people don't realize, you start that thing in the spring, that's not something Steve just goes home in September and says, oh, I'm putting a program together. This is a long drawn out thing, it's all of our projects. And I don't know where all to thank, because you can't thank everybody, but a special thanks to all of our businesses, and especially people like, I know most of you people in your NC have been around over, but without the Reeves Foundation and the Kimball Foundation, we just could not pull off a lot of these big projects. So we're very fortunate, because down where I'm at now, the big city feels just a whole different thing. I went down there, I thought I'd get involved. So my first experience was down there, and well, about a month, I'm getting bored. My wife said, well, why don't you go down by, see what the stadium, this. So, of course, I was kind of getting involved a little bit with the new school committee. I go down there, I rode by a school. Oh, I'll take it looks pretty cool. Maybe I can send it to Gary McCray or somebody, give them some ideas. Get 2 blocks down the road, there comes red lights in front of me, there come red lights in back of me, that police all around me. Hey, I was seeing you were down around that school. I said, well, yeah, I was. He said, did you take pictures? You gotta take them off. So I thought, well, I was on a committee at home and they just wanted to send me some pictures. But I know in today's world, I guess that wasn't a real smart thing to do with that. You know, it's just a different atmosphere. It's hard to get involved. You go to a ball game, the bands don't play at halftime. There's no programs at the ball games. You can pre-order them for one game at the school, and that's it. So nobody steps up and does that stuff. So we just don't know what we have up here. When we see that turf we put down and all the guys got involved, and just all of these guys, and I just really want to thank my treasurers. They gave me a right to the penny anytime I could call them where we were at. We would spend $100,000 a year real fast. And I just appreciate that, and all the businesses. See Doug Clark, anytime we went to Doug and needed something for clothes for the kids, Doug stepped up. All these companies that are around here, they all step up, and I just really appreciate that. To me, it's a community award tonight for this, but I do appreciate it. And all this nominating committee, like I say, I was kind of shocked because you get away from stuff. I'm not really away from it though, because I do have my contact here that we talk about once a week on what's going on, who's doing what, and so I still keep pretty well involved. But thanks to everybody here, I really appreciate everybody's support. Thank you.
From John's speech, we have 2 things we need to discuss. First of all, who's this old you're talking about? You see all these old people.
Tornado Club members.
Okay, just making sure. Peg, you didn't get enough recognition. Peg, please stand, Peg. John's wife, Peg. She's working the world and you know, with John coming up from the Carolinas, we certainly need to never forget what has happened there, the human tragedy that has occurred in that area. And I was talking with a few people, and I had said that I read today that Route 40 down around the Asheville will be closed until the end of 2025. So when you start thinking about that, it starts to, the loss of lives and the complete turnover is unbelievable. So thank you very much for coming up, and we appreciate your grandson being here as well. Thank you. The early 1930s was a golden age for Dover's high school football and basketball teams, blessed with outstanding athletes such as brothers Doc and Spider Kelker. The football team from 1931, 32, and 33 went a combined 30-1, as well as putting together a 28-game win streak. Their only loss prior to their winning streak came in 1931, when a 9-1 Worcester team defeated them early in the season. I mention this tonight because many of the same players on the 33 team were instrumental in all 3 years, the 31 and the 32 as well. Thus, the 1933 team was a culmination of great athletes combined with a young head coach, Buck Rearick, an inaugural inductee into our Hall of Fame. In that 28-game win streak, the Tornadoes outscored opponents 634-52. And in 1933, they outscored the opposition 227-19. Because high school playoffs were not in effect during that period, Dover's 1933 10-0 team was proclaimed the mythical state champions, simply meaning it was not an official title. However, in 2012, the Ohio High School Athletic Association announced that research had been completed on teams from 1895 to 1946 to determine the champions prior to 1947. From that research, both Dover and Springfield, who have been in the news, Springfield high schools were proclaimed as state champions. The bottom line is the 1933 team's title is today considered official. Team members' names are found in the program, but I am going to be reading them here in just a little while. But with us tonight to accept the award in a few moments, but right now just stay seated, okay, will be Bubba Kelker, nephew of Doc Kelker. Dave Contini will be representing his father, Joe Contini, and Jerry Contini will be representing his father, John Contini. On behalf of the selection committee, I welcome the 1933 Dover Tornadoes State Championship football team into the DHS Athletic Hall of Fame. The members of that team are as follows: William Shoemaker, John Contini, Max Mason, Paul Silkey, Max Miser, Bill Graves, Robert Boyd, Hugh Palmer, Richard Paddock, George Steffi, Joe Contini, Frank Kelker. Frank was Spider. Right, I get that right, Bubba?
Fred.
The other way around, yeah.
Fred.
Frank is Dr. Fred, that's right. Yeah. Linus Harmon, John Young, Fred Spider Kelker, Wilbur Fox, Edgar Davis Jr., Edward Morris, Jack Daniels, Wilbur DeVore, Anthony D'Onofrio, Leroy Smith, Sam Lombardo, Robert Bryant, Albert Zugano, David Weibel, and William Vigil. Jim? Vigil. William Vigil. Those are the team members. So at this time, if Bubba Kelker representing his uncles, Dave Contini representing his father, and Jerry Contini representing his father would come forward, please. Thank you.
Okay, I want to thank you so much, and Mike said, keep it at 5 minutes, that doesn't scare me. My wife said, keep it short. You look out there and there are people with their heads back and their mouths gaping open, you need to stop. So I fear her, so I will try to keep it short. It's so nice to see so many people that I've encountered in my teaching and coaching career over the years. This guy on my right, I grew up with, my cousin Jerry, and he was more like a brother than a cousin. This guy over here, I coached, and he was a guy that we didn't just talk about X's and O's. We talked about family. We talked about growing up in Dover. I asked him about his uncles because my dad, till the day he died, talked about playing football for Dover High School. That was an important thing to him. And I'll tell you a quick story about Johnny. My dad told me this, that if you're familiar with Broad Street, there's like a little park in the middle that's grass. And our family grew up on Broad Street, and they used to play different sports and stuff, and they were throwing a football, and Johnny ran to catch the football and ran into the road. And at that time, there was either a Model A or a Model T passing. Now, those things were made of solid steel. And he ran into it. And I said, did he have to go to the hospital? And Dad said, no, he dented the door. That was the kind of player Jerry's dad was. And the praise for the Kelkers is well known. He went on beyond high school and went to Case Western Reserve and was a good, very good athlete there. Made little All-American. Because of his race, he was not allowed to make All-American. And I think when I thought about this and what I wanted to talk about, you know, today people say, oh, it's terrible today. It's this, we had COVID, and we had this, and we have that. You know what? 1933, they're in the middle of the worst world depression, okay? 1933, in the 20s and in the 30s. My family immigrated to this country. We've got immigration, okay? People moving in from the South before civil rights, all right? You think about that, and you think about Buck Rarick as a coach, and he's got all these kids from varying backgrounds, varying ethnic backgrounds, and he pulls them together, and he makes a team out of them that is a championship team. And I don't want to sell any of those players short. For 2-hour practices, for 48 minutes on the gridiron, they gave their best, and they played hard. And like I said, my dad talked about it until the day he died. Talked about those people and how great they were and how they played together. Another story about Jerry's dad. That year, 1933, they beat Akron Central 6-0. His dad scored the 6 points. So, you know, that was the lowest score that year, I believe. Okay, are you edging this way, Mike? Okay. Okay. Well, once again, I think of Dover and Dover High School as a microcosm of the United States. What happens here happens all across the country. And I think we are to be proud of this team. And remember, they validated themselves on that football field, 160 feet wide, 360 feet long, and it's still that today. Thank you.
We have certificates for each of the people who were on, to the gentlemen who were on that team. I do want to read it to you for those of you who have not yet seen it. At the top, you can perhaps see what it looks like. It's very sharply done. Dover High School Hall of Fame, 1933 undefeated OHSAA State Championship Football Team, 2024 inductee. In recognition of dedication and excellence in contributing to the spirit and success of the Dover High School 1933 undefeated state champion football team. This certifies that, and in this case it's William Shoemaker, has been elected in the year 2024 to the Dover High School Hall of Fame as a member of the 1933 undefeated OHSAA state championship team, dated October 3rd, 2024, signed Athletic Director Tim McCray. So that's what's on there. And it's very sharply done, I will tell you. So. Dover High School's athletic department has been extremely fortunate over the years to have a family that repeatedly produced outstanding athletes. Back in 2018, this Hall of Fame inducted Frank, a younger brother, 6 years behind his older brother and 4 years behind his middle brother, Bill. From 1941 until 1953, Dover football had an Elwood in the lineup, with the exception of 2 years. Tonight, we are honored to recognize the accomplishments of the oldest brother, Richard Dick Elwood, a 1947 graduate and an idol to his 2 younger brothers. Dick's accomplishments are many, winning numerous individual awards, including being a Central League second or first team selection for 3 consecutive years, as well as an All-Ohioan as a senior, at a time when only 33 players received that honor. His hard-nosed toughness and his athletic skill contributed to his being named as a starting halfback in the Ohio North-South All-Star game following his senior season. Not only was he a football star, but he also earned 11 high school letters, 4 each in football and track, and 3 in basketball. Following his graduation, Dick attended Ohio State University, earning his bachelor's degree in business administration. While pursuing his degree, he also played football from 1947 to 1951, playing in 1 Rose Bowl as well as the acclaimed Blizzard Bowl versus Michigan in 1950, a game that is detailed in tonight's program. Growing up in Dover cemented Dick's toughness. As a high school kid, he worked on a farm, at a dairy, and any other job he could find to earn a bit of an income. Following his college graduation, he joined the United States Navy, serving on 2 destroyers during his military time. His true niche, though, was his personality, enabling him to be an outstanding salesman, one who rose to be the senior vice president of Anchor Hockey, a leading producer of American-made glassware. He truly loved Ohio State, even serving as a regional recruiter during his adult life. For all his athletic, academic, and professional accomplishments, we are thrilled this evening to welcome Richard Dick Elwood into the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame, and accepting on his behalf is his youngest brother, Hall of Famer, Mr. Frank Elwood. Frank?
Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor to be back and then to represent my brother. But first, I'm going to relate a few stories to you. I try not to get you up on your feet, Mike, so that you have to make me sit down, but I'll try to be short. Anyhow, you probably know that shortly we're going to honor a young man by the name of Jamie DeVore, who was perhaps Dover's best left-handed quarterback. Most of Dover's quarterbacks over the year are right-handed, but Jamie, being the only left-handed ever quarterback, is Dover's best left-handed quarterback. When I get out of coaching football, I really didn't want to get out of coaching football. I coached for like 25 years at the college level. I started my coaching at Dover High School, actually as an assistant football coach. I had some time I had to wait before I went in the Air Force. And so I had my degree and I decided I'd start my career as a coach. And I worked at Dover, and we played Masson. We played the Masson sophomores. Now, when I was in college, Woody Hayes used to teach us in the coaching classes that one of the worst things you have to go through is to go into the tee and look at your team at halftime and you're behind 35-0. He said, that's a real test for a coach. What do you tell your team when you're down 35 points at halftime? So, we're playing Masson freshmen and sophomores. And I'm one of the reserve coach for Dover High School. The reserves are playing at Southwest. At halftime, it's 34-0 in favor of the Massillon Southwest. And I thought, wow, that lesson what he gave us was really beneficial because I didn't know what to say to the team either at that time. It's really amazing. Jamie was really a good person, a good quarterback. Doug Clark and I decided, because they decided that I was no longer needed as a coach at the college level, and I didn't retire, they just said, well, we're not going to renew your contract. That's all that's it. Some people say that's not getting fired. No, just wouldn't renew my contract. So anyhow, we hired Jamie to be an upfront man for us at our store. And Jamie was learning, young kid, and excitable. I was trying to get him to be outgoing and talking to the people that came in the store. Anyhow, we were sitting there talking one day, and he said, how do you make money in a sporting goods store? And I said, well, listen, Doug Clark's an expert at it because he's done it for years and he's an expert. And what you do is, well, you buy an article for $1 from a supplier, you sell it for $5. And Jamie looked at me and said, boy, that 4% must add up fast. And then he went on to pass algebra, believe it or not, in high school. Anyhow, it's an honor for me to be able to represent another member of my family. That's a brother. Dick was 6 years ahead of me. He was my idol as I grew up. I first watched him play his first high school football game in 1943 when I was 8 years old. But the history behind that is, for those of you that are getting close to my age, in 1942, Dover was undefeated and had a really great football team. That was Fatso Petrella, the great pizza man of Dover on West 5th Street. And Johnny Maury was a halfback. Ben Wilson was a center on the team. Ben Wilson later became the head football coach at Wichita State. And unfortunately was on the plane that crashed into the Rocky Mountains when half the football team died on that thing. He and his wife both were deceased in that accident. Well, this was the next year, 1943. My brother Dick was a freshman. The 42 team had a bunch of seniors, and they lost the talent. The 17-year-olds, because they were all going to be drafted, we're talking about early World War II, because they were going to be drafted, a lot of them decided they wanted to be in the Navy, so they joined and they enlisted rather than get drafted, which they knew was coming up when you're 18, because the rule was when you're 18, you're going to get drafted, and you were drafted. That just was the story in those days. So in 1943, they were a little short on talent, so that's how Brother Dick ended up being a starter and playing football as a freshman at Dover High School. And they had a poor record. As a matter of fact, when they looked at the statistics at the end of the year, they found out the best play they had was the forward fumble. They had a long run that year and went 83 yards, but they never caught the guy. Went the wrong direction. Their quarterback had more interceptions than he had pass completions, and they found out later on he was colorblind. Just amazing. But being a quarterback, which Jamie and I know that that's a position of leadership. That's as bad as being the president of the Tornado Club for all those years he was on. It's just amazing. Well, our quarterback was president of the freshman class for 4 years. So you can see how outstanding he was. It's just amazing. Unbelievable. Dick grew up and played football, and he was good at it. He played basketball. He wasn't quite as good a basketball player as he was a football player. In both cases, played for Dutch Furby, who was the head coach of both sports. He ended up track, but there were no statistics for track in those days. He threw the discus, was a good discus thrower, pretty accomplished discus thrower, and tried the pole vault when they used what looked like fishing poles. That's what the holes were in those days. And when half the time when you put it into the box and you start up, it would snap. And that can make an awful drop for a pole vault in those days. But Dick tried that too. But anyhow, he went on, and the statistics are in the resume that's provided in the brochure for tonight's ceremony. Football is in our house was the byword. Like Mike said, we had someone on the varsity roster from 1941 until 1953, with the exception of 2 years, and that's only because there was a 6-year separation between Dick and myself in our family. My brother Bill was the oldest in the family. He ended up marrying a young lady from Dover by the name of Mary Ann Potchner, who was from Dover, and her dad ran the Ford agency for many years in the corner of 4th and Worcester Avenue. Dick ended up marrying a young lady by the name of Barbara Huff, and you probably know the Huff family was well known on Worcester Avenue, Worcester and 12th Street. They lived there. Dick and Barbara had 3 children, 2 boys, Brock and Kip, and a daughter, Ann, who Brock lives in Tucson, Arizona, and he's a sales rep. He went to Duke University and majored in computer science and engineering. He had those 2 degrees from Duke. He's been very successful. And is a sociologist in Phoenix, Arizona, and Kip just deceased a couple years ago. So that's the story of Dick Elwood. He was aggressive. He played linebacker as a defense and played full-time. He was obviously a good running halfback. He was always in condition. He was a tremendous Dover fan. He carried season tickets up until about 5 years before he passed away, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago. But he always bought his season tickets. He was right on the 50-yard line, and was a regular attendee. Didn't come to every single Dover game, but he was at a lot of Dover games. And was always an avid booster of Dover sports and very proud of his background as a Dover citizen. Believe me, he was. He lived his entire life in Lancaster, basically, with the exception of 4 years when he lived in Kansas City. With me tonight, I have 2 young men who know him very well. I got a nephew. His name is Mark Elwood. Stand up, Mark. Mark was my brother Bill's oldest son, and he went to play football for Dover High School and went to Grove City College for a year and then ended up going to Ohio University and graduated, coached football at Gehenna Lincoln in Columbus and Worthington for some 30 years as a football coach. And then my son, my oldest son Doug, stand up, Douglas. Those 2 are nephews of Dick Elwood, and that's why I had to stand up. And believe it or not, as I was coaching at Ohio University at the time, I decided that I wanted to help John DeBoer out. You all know John. So I had John room with Doug their first year as freshmen at Ohio University. And I don't know which one got the benefit of that. I still can't figure it out. Anyhow, it's an honor for me to show up. Mike, thank you. Your introduction is great. Take a nice step. Thank you again. I'm proud to be a Dover person, a Dover resident for a time, and I'm happy to be here. Hopefully I can keep coming back, Mike, and just keep attending these beautiful ceremonies. Thank you.
A few months ago, Colby Byram, Doug Clark, and I had lunch with Rex Ray, who's seated over here with Doug, and Frank Elwood at Crocker's. I went thinking it was going to be about an hour, and it was, Colby, where were we? About 2 hours, probably? 2.5? I could have sat there longer and longer. Hearing Frank and Rex tell stories, Doug and Colby and I were just, our heads were just turning. It was a great time. I love to hear the stories of the times before me. I was going to say the old days, but times before me. Let's put it that way. Thank you very much, Frank. Appreciate it. A fierce competitor, Tom Andreas, has always been a man of principle, class, and respect. My relationship with Tom goes back to high school. when I was a player at Indian Valley South, and we had defeated Garaway in the sectional finals 46-43, a hotly contested game. What I recall most from that locker room scene at St. John Arena in Steubenville was after the game was long over and we were finishing getting dressed, into the locker room came Coach Andrews to personally congratulate Coach Huggins and each of us, which was a first for me. What stood out then and now was that Coach Huggins was well respected, but not always well liked by his peers for a variety of reasons. Tom's classiness truly reflected what kind of man he was. Despite the loss, his respect for the game and the competition exceeded his disappointment. 54 years later, I am standing in front of an audience, recalling a sincere gesture Tom Andrews did and how he positively influenced this 17-year-old kid who later became a teacher and a coach. I never forgot that scene. After graduating from Garaway High School and then Ohio University, he started his professional career at Lancaster High School before returning to Garaway as a math teacher and a highly successful boys basketball coach, achieving a 131-44 record before arriving at Dover as the head boys coach. After 4 years in that position, he resigned before later becoming the girls coach, launching a career that stamped his legacy as the most successful girls coach in our school's history. In the 1990s, the Lady Tornadoes were consistently ranked in the Associated Press's top 10 poll. And in one 5-year stretch, they were 107-15. This success was roundly respected by his peers as he was named Ohio's Division II Coach of the Year twice. And in 1998, Tom was inducted into the Ohio High School Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame. As a teacher, he reflected the same drive he did as a coach, demanding that his students prioritize their effort to succeed in his math classroom. That is his legacy as well. He was a true leader of young people far beyond the gymnasium. Tom definitely left an unforgettable mark in Dover's rich athletic history. Yes, his accomplishments are many, but the example he set for so many young people and fellow coaches cement his status in our community. It is my honor to welcome coach and teacher Tom Andrews into the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame. Because of recent health difficulties, Tom is unable to attend our banquet this evening, but he has pre-recorded his acceptance speech from his home in Hilton Head, South Carolina. When we are done with his acceptance speech, I would appreciate a big round of applause for Tom, please, for the videotape. So, we're ready.
Thank you for the build-up, Mike. You are the best MC ever. As most of you know, I had a stroke in July. My rehab is going well, but no travel for a while. I wish I could be there in person to thank and share this honor with all of you. Thanks to the Hall of Fame Committee, the Tornado Club, the Dover Athletic Department, and Tim McCrate for this honor and this night. Congratulations to the other inductees, and especially Brenton Contini. Rose and I were his tennis coaches his freshman year in high school when he played in the state tennis tournament. Special thanks to Fred Delphia and Kevin Keffer for letting me be me as a teacher and a coach. I had a strong passion for teaching and coaching. I called it loud patience. Thanks to Terry Emmel, Steve Burgess, Diana Smith, the good cops to my bad cop. They and the players have lots of stories. They probably are all true. Tom Armstrong and Terry Emmel talked me into coaching girls basketball. I soon found how motivated and hardworking they would be. A great many memories and moments from my 1985 to 1997. Practices, games, shootouts, overnight trips, big wins, some losses. I wish I could be there to thank all of you for those contributions. Many, many, many special memories. I want to especially thank Rose for sharing this journey with me. 55 years, she still has the answers. I was able to teach and coach Anissa and Heather, a highlight not many fathers get. Anissa and Heather, thank you for letting me be dad. Again, I miss being there to accept this honor. Thank you for all, and go Tornadoes.
Thank you very much for getting all that recorded and everything. We really appreciate it. Thank you. He's a class man, let me tell you, he is a class man. The 1976 valedictorian of her class, Teresa Prince, combined her academic excellence with an intense athletic drive, allowing her to become a trailblazing young lady in Dover's women's athletic scene during the 1970s. Her athletic career included being the first girl to compete in a boys' sport, running cross country with the boys as a sophomore, because the sport was not available as a separate girls' sport. That is, until a year later, when it was incorporated into the athletic department's offerings. As stated, she was a trailblazer, making others aware that, yes, girls could run and they could compete. Throughout high school, Teresa excelled in whatever sports she attempted. A 3-year starter in basketball, she finished her senior year averaging 19 points per game. In track, her running skills were dominant, allowing her to win the 440, the 880, and the 1 mile run for 3 consecutive years in the Tuscarawas County girls meet, as well as helping earn a 7th place finish in the medley relay at the Ohio State track meet as a junior. At the spring athletic banquet, her senior year, Teresa was named Miss Crimson Tornado as the outstanding female athlete for the 1975-76 school year. Following her high school graduation, she attended Ohio State University, where she ran cross country, becoming the second Dover female athlete to compete in athletics at a major university, earning monograms in 1977 and 1978. Reflecting her team approach and her peers' respect, she was chosen as the team's captain her sophomore year. Her post-graduation career has been diverse, ranging from owning 3 locations of the former Prince Sporting Goods stores to designing podiatric orthotics. However, her true calling has been an artist, painting murals throughout the valley and being recognized as the go-to lady when anything artistic is needed. This Hall of Fame has been adamant that the women who set the table for the women's programs existing today be recognized for their success in establishing the base for girls' sports. For that reason, and for all her athletic accomplishments, we are proud to honor Teresa Prince as one of our earliest female stars, and we welcome her to the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame. Teresa Prince.
Thank you, Mike. I'm pretty much outnumbered here tonight, so I better not see you get out of your chair. I would like to thank Mike and the committee for this wonderful honor, and thank you everybody for coming here to support me. It's just amazing. Now I'm going to take you back in time, over 50 years. It all started playing football with my brothers down in the ditch, which was St. Joe's football field, called the ditch. And my brothers had fun because we played some of the neighborhood games and nobody wanted to pick a girl. Boy, were they sorry. We had many fun times in the field. Let's see. The next thing was my first competition was St. Joe's had a field day. And after it was over, I raced up the hill and there was an elderly neighbor, Leo Fonders, sitting on his porch. And I showed him my winning trophy and he said, "This is just the beginning." I wish he was here tonight. I transferred to Dover in the 7th grade and met my gym teacher, Girl Shrine. Without Girl Shrine, there would be no girls sports. She was our leader. She encouraged me to run track, play basketball, and later to run on the boys cross country team. She personally drove me to some open meets up in Cleveland and Chagrin Falls so that I could compete against other girls instead of running against the guys all the time. Prior to graduation, I received a thank you card from her. And Candy, I would like to read it tonight for you. It said, "Dear Teresa, your thoughtfulness meant much more than words can ever say. And I will remember you long after you graduate, when the day before vacation comes and no one remembers. Your absence will be felt in many ways. God bless Girl Shrine." This is over 50, this is about 50, over 50 years old. I have kept it all this time. I will never forget her. Thank you for coming, Candy. When the new Dover gym was built, the girls were not allowed to play in the new gym. So we had to play in Memorial Hall, which was still being used as a skating rink, so it was very slippery. There was a great big mirrored globe in the center for the skating rink, and we were threatened with jail time or possibly death if we hit it with a basketball. I'm sure Kim remembers when you were heaving those fast break passes. Watch out for the ball in the center. The radiators loomed large on the end lines too. I bounced off of them a few times. And what were those porcelain things on the wall in the locker room? That was quite an experience. We had to share track shoes and track. I got lucky because my feet were too big, so I got a new pair. These are just some of the things that we experienced when girls sports was just beginning. When I joined the boys cross country team, I don't think my teammates quite knew what to expect because girls weren't supposed to be able to run that far. After running many miles with them during the summer, they knew I was there to compete. And later they had fun teasing the other team saying, "You let a girl beat you." So that was kind of fun. Coach Stan Zarowski always encouraged me and made me feel a part of the team. One of the highlights was we painted houses during the summer and we raised enough money to go to the Montreal Olympics. And I have to tell you, one of the best moments was we were walking into the stadium and Edwin Moses had just won the 400-meter hurdles and they were raising the American flag. It still gives me chills. It was the most amazing moment, one of the best in my career. Burrow passed the baton to Judy Basswinder and Patty Sattler in basketball, and they continued to encourage and support me till I graduated and headed to Ohio State. Some fun moments from Ohio State, we were sitting in the van waiting on our coach to come out of St. John Arena, and we were a small cross-country team, and it was in the fall when the football team was playing, so we were low on the totem pole. Woody Hayes came out, got on our van, and said, "I just want to wish you girls good luck." And that's a moment I won't forget either. Another funny moment was I had a class in St. John Arena. Fred Taylor was the instructor. Art Schuster was in my class. During the final, he asked my friend if he could see her paper, so he tried to cheat. And he repeatedly didn't show up for class, and here he was playing basketball. All we had to do was walk out of the classroom door and look, and there he was down there. So Fred said, "I'm not going to pass him." So that was good. Another time I was walking between the field house and St. John Arena, and I haven't had that, I was thinking about something else. All of a sudden I realized I just walked past Jack Nicklaus. So it was fun because you never knew who you were gonna run into there, and it was always exciting. All of this was a long time ago, but the memories will be with me forever. I am sincerely grateful to everyone who encouraged me along the way to become the best person I could be. Lastly, I apologize to all my new Philly friends, but Big Philly!
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. Now, for those of you, I chuckled when you said about Art Schleister. Art is back in prison. You know, for those of you who are not familiar with him, Art this is about his 4th or 5th trip back to prison, so it might have started in that class. I don't know. But Art, exactly. He was fast, hell of a passer, a natural athlete, competitive, and cocky as hell are words that have described our next inductee, Jamie DeVore. In simple terms, he is one of the best quarterbacks to ever have come through Dover, displaying talents that enabled him to continue his football career at Youngstown State University. Raised at 933 East 4th Street in the shadows of Crater Stadium, he was a typical Dover kid, one who loved sports from the beginning and ultimately dedicated himself to becoming a great two-sport athlete. Jamie and the other neighborhood kids spent much of their time playing backyard sports, unorganized. Just thought I'd throw that in. Backyard sports, while also trying to sneak into the stadium to play on the field and run on the track, laying the foundation for his high school and college success. As a high school quarterback, he led his junior and senior year teams to an 18-2 record, including a 10-0 his senior year. As a senior, he earned Cardinal Conference Offensive Player of the Year and was chosen to the All-Ohio 3rd team. For many years, he held school records for passing yards in a game, as well as touchdown passes in a season. Demonstrating his versatility, Jamie was a rangy center fielder on the baseball field, where he was a 4-year letterman and became one of the few Dover athletes to ever earn All-Ohio honors in football and baseball. Many from his era have said he may have been a better baseball player than football, but football became the ticket for his college education and his athletic career. His success at Youngstown State University was impressive, despite the knee injuries that plagued his last 2 seasons. After having thrown the longest touchdown pass in school history of 85 yards, and being named to the all-newcomer team in the Ohio Valley Conference, he was injured in his season opener his junior season. I think it was a junior season. Junior or sophomore?
That would have been June.
Yeah, I thought it was. Because freshmen still had freshman teams back then. Okay. Fighting through rehab and a redshirt year, however, he returned for his senior season and was excelling until week 8 when he re-injured his knee. Before the injury, he had set 2 single-game records for completions and yards, and his career totals remain high in the Penguins' football history. Following graduation, he remained in the Youngstown area, working a 34-year career in the steel industry. Married 36 years, he and his wife, Linda, have 3 adult children and 1 grandson. One of the best two-sport athletes to ever have played here, Jamie DeVore has earned his place in the 2024 Dover Athletic Hall of Fame. Jamie DeVore. Congratulations.
Miss Beaver don't grade me. My vocabulary teacher here. Only person who gave me a D is Oprah Rice. Best thing about it was, I was the only incoming freshman at Youngstown State that didn't have to take remedial English. And expounding on what Mr. Elwood said, you know how he said, I'm the best left-handed quarterback that ever played at Dover. He always used to tell me he was the best right-handed quarterback to play at Dover. And my job at Clark's was a couple things. Make sure I got the coffees at Goshen Dairy and run down to Eilers to get Doug his old gold cigarettes. So, yeah, growing up in Dover, it was great. I mean, it's plain and simple. I'm an emotional guy, and growing up that way, you had to be. As was said, I grew up in the shadows of Crater Stadium. Literally, yes. Walk down the street, go up Winker Drive Hill, and down the hill. I was at the stadium. Growing up, having Teresa be accepted in front of me, there isn't a street in the city of Dover that her feet haven't pounded the pavement. I can remember being out at Dover City Park, Pony League Baseball, be out there playing a game. There goes Teresa running across the park. Half hour later, the game's over. I'd say, Mom, I want to go down to A&W, get a root beer. Driving across the Worcester Avenue Bridge up Iron Avenue, there's Teresa running back the other way. Half hour later, that's all she did. I could swear that's all Teresa did. She was the original Forrest Gump. Because it was run, Teresa, run. And she did. And God bless her. That's dedication. That's Dover, Ohio. Frank Elwood's Dover, Ohio. Doug Clark. I could stand, 5 minutes. I could stand up here till tomorrow morning and thank and just say all the people that impress upon me, blessed me, just knowing them from Dover, Ohio. I instilled that in my children. I have 3 of them here. My wife's name's Lisa, by the way. That's okay. I may have told you wrong. That's okay. What better place? I won't tell her age, but today is her birthday. So I brought her to Dover for dinner. My Hall of Fame inauguration. And thanks to the Hall of Fame committee and the Tornado Club, and I'd be remiss, the Mothers Club, because they were great as well. I mean, the mothers, growing up, that's all I remember. The warm cream chicken sandwiches the Dover Mothers Club made were by far the best sandwiches you could ever have. You look forward to the tornado relays because the chicken sandwiches were the best. I coached track up at Girard when I went up there. My year I coached track, I brought my team down to tornado relays. Not only did they have the chicken sandwiches at the tornado relays, my mom made a whole pile of them, and the guys ran up Maston's Hill, all my cross country, all my distance runners were up. They loved it when I brought them down here to Dover. I brought my family always every Christmas down to see Mom. Summertime, come down, go to Tuscarora Park. Even though it's in Philly. Chattanooga. But we went to Dover Park, play baseball. I may have left Dover. Dover never left me. It's guys like that back there. Teachers like Miss Pieper. I wasn't a great student in her class, but she instilled upon me proper grammar, vocabulary, apostrophes. I'm glad I'm so happy to see you. But I never did think, I hated your class. But she taught me a lot. I see Rochelle Wixby now. She lived up this road from me behind the house. You know? I think my sister used to babysit. God rest her soul.
Yes.
And in conclusion, there's one person who I wish was here tonight. Because she was my life, everything I worked for, everything that made me become a man was my mother.
Yes.
She raised us. God rest my father, but I don't really have a father. He wasn't around. Guys like Doug Clark, Frank Elwood, they were my father. Larry Denoff, he was my father.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys in this town were my father. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Because this place is like no other. And I've instilled to my kids and my kids that I coached at Gerard what Dover was all about. And those kids still, to this day, call me coach, and still to this day know what Dover is all about. Once again, thanks to the committee. This has got to be one of the most proud days, not just for my athletic career, but my personal career.
Yeah.
Best decision I ever made was to sit back here that I married and having my kids. Thank you all of you. This is an honor I will take to my grave. Thank you much.
If you do not think that this night is an important night, all you need to do is listen to the speakers and look at the faces. And you realize this is the moment where we pay tribute to so many special people. It was a great speech. Now, for the next 15 minutes, we're going to deviate. We're going to allow Bart People to tell stories about the game before. Some thought probably not. We won't go there. And Lisa, I apologize for getting that. I will tell you, when I first started talking to Jamie on the phone, he had to call me back because he got things mixed up. And one of them was the anniversary. He said, if I recall, that tonight's going to be a tough night because it's his anniversary. And then he called me back and said, come back and said, no, I don't think it's my anniversary, I think it's my wife's birthday. So I just want to clarify a few things there. I love it. I love it.
I can't remember, I came off midnight shift.
Yeah, I know. Jamie now works as a police dispatcher and fire dispatcher for the city of Gerard. In his retirement, he works for that. So, Jamie Moore. In 1997, Ryan Marino became the first Dover male athlete to win a state track title, winning the state meet with a jump of 14 feet 9 inches. Since that time, only one other athlete has equaled his success at the state level, that being Joey Farthing in the high jump. Ryan's path to our Hall of Fame has been an interesting one. He and his good friend, David Crump's, son of Hall of Famer John and his wife Peg, were neck and neck in the vault, not only that year, but also throughout his career. You add in fellow vaulter Shane Walton, an excellent jumper himself, it was easy to see that Dover was stacked with outstanding pole vaulters. Though Ryan and David had consistently jockeyed between first and second place finishes for a few years, with Ryan winning the district and David winning the regional during their senior year. On the day of their senior state track meet, Ryan bested David, who finished second, earning Dover an impressive 18 points at the state meet. From there, he attended Baldwin Wallace, where he lettered as a freshman and won the Sparky Adams Invitational Pole Vault crown. Soon thereafter, he suffered an injury, thus ending his vaulting career. As a result, he transferred to Kent State University, studying geology and hospitality. Today, Ryan has continued his professional career in the hospitality industry for over 20 years, opening and operating restaurants throughout the country. Currently, he is the Director of Operations for the Pastel Restaurant Group and oversees 2 restaurants and a nightclub in Detroit and 3 restaurants in Florida. An excellent example of paying his dues and excelling his final 3 high school years, Ryan Marino has distinguished himself among his peers and is so highly deserving of induction into the Dover Athletic Hall of Fame. Ryan Marino. Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you, guys. I can't even, really don't even know where to start. Just how honored I am to be with just so many greats. It's just really overwhelming. It's amazing. It's just such an honor to really be here today. I really just wanted to start and just recognize not just myself, but like I said, my teammates, David and Shane, John's son. Without those guys, I wouldn't know, we wouldn't have been where we are, especially in a sport that's known as, an individual sport, individual accomplishments. I can say that 97 boys team that we were on was really a team. There was no individual on that team that outweighed the other, and we worked that way, and we accomplished that way. I truly can say that my achievements were really a result of being surrounded and supported by those great teammates, those coaches, and all of those parents. Not only were they were there to support us, always there to cheer us on, but they really helped elevate me in the classroom and all other aspects in life. So it was never just about the athletics or anything like that. It really was about the community here and the legacy that it is with us. I just really wanted to come in and thank, particularly my parents for their support. I grew up with a lot of brothers and sisters. I wanted to mention my eldest sister, Stacy, who really inspired me even to step on the track to begin with. Without her, I don't know that I would have ever wanted to. And just my parents always pushing us to, who started something, just finish it. And that's what it was about. I was never the best athlete, but I never quit. And I tell people that all the time. I didn't achieve something because I was faster or stronger than anyone. I achieved something just because I didn't want to quit. And that was really it. And that's what it came down to. Again, I'd really like to see, hopefully in the future, I believe Dave definitely as deserving as this, Shane as well. As a team, that 97 track team, we finished 7th place as a team in the state division, and had Shane been allowed to actually participate, that point that we needed to be an all-Ohio team probably was right there. So, I really can't mention that team enough and how important it was to me. That being said, I just, my championship, it really was a direct result of this great community. Again, I'm just extremely proud to be part of Dover High School legacy. My sisters, my brothers, none of us live here anymore, but that's a result of, the success that this community has taught us and educated us to allow to go on and to actually go to bigger, better places in life. So it's just a testament to how great Dover is and Dover City Schools. I couldn't be more proud. Thank you.
It's always interesting when you hear these stories, because everybody comes in different directions, but everyone talks about their background, talks about this community, as Ryan did. And it's not just verbal fluff. It is a very supportive, strong community. And we're very proud to have each of you people here representing us. So now we come to the final inductee. Playing a high school sport, such as tennis, that is sparsely attended by fans beyond immediate family, requires a special kind of person. One who remains focused on goals, who is disciplined enough to put intense concentration into an individual game, who understands that no one else is to blame but him or herself, and who accepts that recognition is often overlooked by the local press, unlike team sports such as football or basketball. Fortunately, one of our own mastered his craft as a young man, embracing the challenges that tennis presented by excelling in high school and setting himself up to further succeed at a Division I university. That person is Brenton Contini, a young man I have known well for many years, beginning with his being in my classroom and on the basketball court. His long list of high school accomplishments and tennis accolades can be found in the program, but to highlight a few: a 3-time All-Ohio, most career victories, 127, East Central Ohio League Player of the Year 4 times, and 4 state tournament appearances. Following his Dover success, he advanced to Ohio State University, where he was an integral part of their tennis team's Elite 8 NCAA tournament runs and was a 4-year letterman. Upon his 2024 graduation, he was tied for 3rd in the program's history for career doubles wins with a 78-37 record, while also having a singles mark of 43-26. Obviously respected by his teammates and his coaches, as a senior, he was chosen as the team captain and received the Buckeye Award for team dedication. Today, Brenton resides in North Canton and is a tennis teaching professional working out of the Green Tennis Club in Uniontown, focusing on those athletes who aspire to be Division I players. At this point, several of his students have won state championships. Tonight, we open the doors to our Dover High School Athletic Hall of Fame to the most accomplished tennis player to ever grace our community, Mr. Brenton Contini.
You know, it's interesting. You stand up in front of a crowd, doesn't matter how big or small. I get nervous as hell. And to think that, you know, for, I don't know, 15, 20 years to be able to be on the court, you know, and be in battles and be in spots where there's no chance to come back, or, you know, at Ohio State where it would be 3-3 and the match would come down to me. And I loved it. I loved every minute of the competition. I loved the losses. I loved to learn. It was a hell of an experience, especially at Ohio State. I got to play under Coach Ty Tucker, who is still there, who is probably the best college tennis coach to ever coach the game. And if anybody ever gets a chance, it's 2 hours away. You have one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country. They have a $27 million facility with Ty Tucker's name on it. I am very proud to be able to take my son Marcello into the facilities and into the locker rooms, and get to talk with Ty. And the interesting thing is, the guy is he's from Zanesville, Ohio, and he turned the program around, and it will be a movie someday what he's done with Ohio State and tennis in the Midwest. From the standpoint of recruiting, I've never seen anything like it. Coach Banquet, thank you. Coach Conrad, if you're here, thank you. Coach Ebert, thank you. Tim, thank you. Mike, I would say it's probably been 25 years since he started mentoring me, and I would say he still is mentoring me today. So I can't say nothing about you. I appreciate you. Ohio State, who do we have? 1, 2, Adam. Do we have any other Ohio State people? Yeah, 3, 4. Okay. Everybody's gonna, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not an Ohio State football fan. So, there's reasons behind that. I do root for every other sport there. I have Eddie Marsh back there, New Philadelphia. So, but there's a guy that's been with me from the beginning. And it didn't matter that Eddie coached 25 years at New Philly. Every time I came to play him, he was rooting for me. And he didn't miss matches, whether it was high school, did many home matches at Ohio State. We've been through a lot of stuff together, and I appreciate you. Mom, Kathy Contini, a lot of love and loyalty. And when you play a sport that you're by yourself, it gets difficult. And when you have a drill sergeant for your father, that was even more difficult. And winning's sometimes not good enough. And so I think throughout this whole journey, it's the friendships, the relationships with people all over the world from tennis standpoint. From that standpoint, I have to thank Chris McRae, my best friend, my rock, I don't know. I don't know how many people have friends that stick with you for 35 years, ups, downs, left, right, whatever. And that's what you've done too. So I can't thank you enough, Chris, for coming tonight, because that was probably the biggest surprise I've had in a long time. To look through those doors and see you walk in. And last but not least, and if I forgot anybody, I apologize. Thanks for everybody that came out. Thank you for everybody that helped me while I was here. But I do have to have Marcello Anthony Contini stand real quick. My son, who's 8 years old. And I want everybody to know that this little kid, he not only saved my life, but he changed my life. So with that,
My closing remarks this evening. My closing remarks carry the same sentiments as all the previous inductions. We should be so fortunate for everything we have in this community. We have a beautiful high school. We have excellent athletic facilities, highly respected athletic coaches, involved and insightful administrators, winning programs, supportive taxpayers, a wonderful tornado club, and a rich history of excellent athletes whom we have honored here tonight. Please don't ever take it for granted. I thank you for your attention this evening. I hope you've had a relaxing evening. It's been great. Come back next year as we celebrate again the class of 2025. Please read through the program. It's got all the dates and everything going on. Thank you very much.